Well, ma'am, when it comes to Delhi and Lisbon, we have seen close ties between the two countries, number of high-level visits happening. But currently, at a time of this global pandemic, how both the countries are coming together to fight this scourge?
Well, Siddhant, both India and Portugal have been cooperating very closely. In fact, our two prime ministers spoke on the 5th of May, and the Portuguese Prime Minister, Mr. Antonio Costa, thanked our Prime Minister for helping with the repatriation of Portuguese citizens. He also congratulated our Prime Minister for the success we've had, even as a large and populous country, in containing the pandemic. And both prime ministers agreed to continue to work together and support each other. India, for instance, waived an export ban on 2.5 million tablets of hydroxychloroquine at Portugal's request. We also had about 15 tons of protective items like gloves being flown in from Bangalore. And as far as Portugal is concerned, the Portuguese Health Service, the local authorities, the Portuguese Red Cross, they have been absolutely outstanding in their support to the embassy in terms of taking care of Indians who are affected by COVID, Indians who had to be quarantined in schools, etc. They have been incredibly supportive. And at a policy level, the Portuguese government announced that all visas and work permits would be automatically extended till the end of June, and that every foreigner in Portugal would be treated like a Portuguese citizen in terms of healthcare and other facilities. This has been very welcomed to many Indians whose visas have expired and who were anxious about whether they could go to a public hospital for treatment and so on. So I would say both countries are working very closely. And if I may add, we've also agreed to do joint research on COVID, and we plan to anchor a youth hackathon very soon on the theme of COVID.
Mhm. So a lot of things are happening, but I'm talking about the Indians who are perhaps stranded in the country. So how has the mission been reaching out to make sure that they do not face any problems, perhaps by providing accommodation or food? So if you can talk about these things as well, ma'am.
Mhm. Siddhant, we have an Indian diaspora that is 1.2 lakh strong. It includes economic migrants, people who work on agricultural farms, in the construction industry, in restaurants. Many such workers were left jobless because of the pandemic, and many of them even didn't have food or shelter. We also have stranded Indian students, tourists, and seafarers, that is, people who were on a cruise ship that is currently anchored in Lisbon. So we had a large number of stranded Indians here, and I'm happy to tell you that with the support of the Gurudwaras, the Sikh community, the Indian diaspora, many volunteers in the Indian community, we were able to arrange free food and deliver free food kit rations to more than 1,800 stranded Indians so far. We've also arranged shelter for those who need it. So, all the Indians who were stranded or distressed are being fully taken care of. And an important thing we realized is the importance of communication itself, because we were getting many anxious queries and people calling and worried about when they can go back home, what health advice or precautions to follow, and so on. And I'm very pleased to share with you that we have so far, since the pandemic began, I think answered more than 3,000 phone calls on our 24/7 emergency helplines. We have responded to more than 2,000 messages on email, WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter. In fact, just last week, in the week that has gone by, we have sent more than 1,100 messages. We are also uploading audio visual messages because that's easier to connect, especially with workers who are in different parts of Portugal. We have even given health advisories and reassuring words and messages from the embassy side to the diaspora here. And I'm happy to tell you that there has been no casualty so far, although 55 Indians tested positive. They've all recovered. All Indians are healthy, they're thriving, they're doing well.
Mhm. Ma'am, talking about the repatriation efforts, India has started its mega repatriation efforts, and now the focus is also shifting to Europe. So, if you can talk about those measures, when is the first flight starting from Lisbon to the Indian cities, perhaps to Delhi? If you can talk about that as well, ma'am.
We have more than 350 people who have registered with the Indian Embassy for repatriation. They want to go back to India. A large part of this is crewmen, that is, seafarers who are on board a cruise liner ship. There are 191 of them. And I want to say that we got some anxious calls from our seafarers saying that they did not have masks, they were not sure about being tested, not having quarantine facilities. So we reached out to the cruise ship company and they were very responsive. So we now have even Wi-Fi facilities and Indian food being given to our seafarers who are on board the ship. They're all happy, they're well taken care of, but they want to go to India. So we are in touch with Indian authorities for a special flight from Lisbon to Goa because a lot of the seafarers are from Goa and the government of Goa has expressed its willingness to receive them. We are now waiting for scheduling of a special flight by Air India and we hope to have some good news soon.
Ma'am, talking about the ground situation, how has the ground situation changed in the country? Anything which we can follow, any containment model of Portugal, or perhaps you have discussed about the Indian models? You just were in a meeting with Delhi with the MEA also. So if you can talk about that, some models which India should adopt.
Portugal has been a success story, as you may have heard. They have only about 1,231 deaths as of today, which is less than 1/5 of the per capita mortality rate in the neighboring country, Spain. Almost, I think I would say less than 65% of Portugal's hospital bed capacity has been used, and the recovery rate of people who are recovering from the infection has risen steeply, signaling that normalcy can be expected soon. So Portugal is recovering very rapidly, and we now have the second phase of the easing of the lockdown, which began yesterday. And the third phase will begin on June 1st if everything goes well. So the situation in Portugal is looking good. As for best practices from Portugal, frankly, I think that both India and Portugal have adopted very similar models based on science and empirical data. Both countries heeded early signs and took decisive steps to have firm and timely lockdown measures. The people of the countries also complied. And both governments have announced generous economic packages to help the jobless, to revive the economy. So I would say broadly, both countries have followed similar tracks. And I would say they seem to be based on sensible best practices. As for distinct things that India can pick up, the size and population of the two countries is vastly different. So for something like, say, testing, the number of testing being done or testing facilities available, I'm not so sure if it would be, comparable in terms of the scales of the two countries.
Ma'am, my last question to you is: how has been for the Indian diplomats, for you, for the other diplomats working there? Has it been difficult? Has it been easy? How are you working? Are you working from home? Are you going to the mission every day? So if we can talk about that as well, ma'am.
That's a good question, because even for Indian embassies and diplomats, this has been a time of adaptation and change. We are very lucky in that in Portugal, we were able to, some of us could work from home, some of us came to office, but we made sure that all services continued. For instance, all consular services are being delivered by the embassy by post. And in cases of emergency, they are also delivered physically. And we had a very generous pharma company here called Generis, which is a subsidiary of the Indian Aurobindo Pharma. They actually came forward and provided masks and sanitizers at a time when they were not available in any pharmacy in Portugal. We are very grateful to them. And with these masks and sanitizers, we are able to come to the embassy, we are able to work. Right now, you're interviewing me in the embassy. We had a DVC with the Ministry of External Affairs earlier today. So work is not affected at all. But yes, we are observing precautions. We are maintaining social distancing. We are observing all the rules and regulations that the Portuguese government has laid down.
So, ma'am, another question. You talked about how the mission is reaching out to the Indian community, but also when it comes to the Indian community, the role played by Indian community in the efforts by the Indian mission. If you can talk about that, the role we have seen in countries like Australia, Canada, where there is a huge Indian community and they are helping the efforts of the Indian missions there.
I'm glad you asked me this, Siddhant, because I don't think the embassy would have been able to reach out to needy Indians the way it has if it were not for the Indian community here. And I would like to place on record our special thanks to the Sikh community and the Gurdwaras for doing a fantastic job of helping us reach food and essential supplies to people who needed them. In fact, while I mentioned that 55 Indians tested positive, there were more than 100 who were quarantined by local authorities in schools, etc. And these people had nothing with them. So the embassy had to supply things like footwear, clothes, toiletries, tea kettles, Indian food, and so on, shampoo, stuff like this. And nobody was willing to go there because this was all quarantined and people were wearing hazmat suits. But very courageous, very generous people from the Indian community bravely went there, delivered the embassy supplies because this is 350 kilometers away from Lisbon. The embassy was in no position to go there. So I would like to salute these members of the Indian community. I would call them COVID warriors who rose to the occasion and who helped the embassy in a time of need.